work, no pleasure. I ain't here to make friends, big stepper. Hey, bad guy, Heath Ledger. Ready for wherever, I'll be front and center. Don't fly too close to the sun, your body chopped up by propellers. Came in arrogant, but left out in a stretcher. The comparison, y'all know y'all couldn't replicate it. Chilling in the desert, I'm good under pressure. Stick around, let me hold it down, look at what we found.
Welcome to the official podcast of PHP Architect. Join us to listen to the latest news and tech talk from our conferences, the magazine, and wider PHP community.
All right, you're listening to the official podcast of PHP Architect, and this is episode 2025-0123. I'm your host, Eric Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
You forgot the dot.
PHP Architect, and this podcast focuses on all things PHP and web development. We also touch on the larger PHP community and the general life of being a developer, as well as our company, magazine, and conference. We record every week on Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. If you're not here, please consider joining us live. This podcast is made a little better thanks to our partners over at honeybadger.io. Honeybadger helps you deploy with confidence and be your team's DevOps hero by combining error, uptime, and performance monitoring in one simple platform. It's free to get started, except it takes only a few minutes. Be the hero of your team. Be the hero your team needs. Suit up at honeybadger.io. More on Honeybadger in a little bit. You may be asking yourself, but Eric, why do I care about joining the show live when I can listen to
what?
the
Hey Eric, why would I care about joining the show live?
When I can listen to the clean and crystal clear audio version? And you have a good point there. I gotta be real. That's actually a good point. But you too can make the podcast a little better by joining us in our Discord at discord.phparch.com and participating in the live stream, which is working, which is fantastic. And of course, we would appreciate if you consider subscribing to the magazine as well as our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/PHPArch and give us a thumbs up. Now, let's get into it. Hey, John, I wrote down the opening.
Good job.
I didn't forget stuff.
And then I tried screwing it up by talking in the middle of it. You like that?
You screw things up.
I'm a big
You always screw things up anyways. It's fine.
Oh, and we're going to talk about a few of those screw ups, aren't we?
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, hell, most of the country is in snow, and if you're not under snow, you're probably on fire. Mm-hmm. So 2025 is just starting off great for us. That would be the only drawbacks to 2025 so far.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at
that. Fires. We talked about a little bit last week as far as LA fires. The week before, we couldn't record because I lost power. Fires are getting a little closer to us, John. You and me.
I didn't talk to you yesterday. I was actually scrambling, getting stuff ready because I thought I'd be evacuated. Mm-hmm. There was one.
I saw that.
One, so if I get at the right angle, I can see where I paraglide from, which is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles away from me. Mm-hmm. On the other side of that mountain or that hill were fires. So my wife and I were freaking out because the winds are Santa Ana winds blowing from the east to the west.
Mm-hmm.
So these fires were northeast of me. And we're just like, those winds are going to blow right up that mountain because it's all just dry vegetation and it's going to be in our backyard before we know it.
Yep, exactly correct.
But luckily they got it stamped out within probably a couple of hours from the time I started getting reports that one was active. They got it surrounded, and I guess they kept monitoring it for another 4 to 6 hours afterwards.
I forgot to put my hat on, John.
I almost asked you if you were going to, and I thought you were making.
I hope the audio listeners didn't catch that.
So
Yeah.
it's been a scary time.
Yeah, we have been discussing putting together go bags and figuring out what we're going to grab. And I told the wife we're not going anywhere. We're just going to burn and be done with it.
Stop.
We had a good run. I'm ready to wrap it up.
That's not the way I want to go.
We've had a few pop up close enough where we could smell it, get ash in our pool, pretty close. So yeah, you be safe, man. You got to keep an eye on the news. It's the only reason to watch the news right now because everything else sucks.
Yeah. If you're in California, I don't know if this app works elsewhere too. I already forgot. Genesis, GENASYS, monitors fires and like with zones, and will tell you if your zone is in danger and if it's being evacuated.
Mm.
You can see where all the fires are at. So I installed that yesterday.
So it's an app. It's not a site you can go to.
No, I don't know. I know it's an app.
Mm.
All the news that I was watching was pushing it as far as an app to use to see to know when you were supposed to get out, just to track where things are at.
So, fun fact for anybody who might be listening: the fires in San Diego was actually where hashtags on Twitter were created. It was actually a fire where I wasn't living there at the time, but right where I lived. Actually, I was living there. Now that I think about it, I was the other side of the city. I wasn't in the side that was under being burnt down, but it was that fire. I think it was the Cedar Creek fire or one of those fires a few years back, where somebody using Twitter, because it was Twitter at the time, decided to coordinate the messages so that people could search for it more easily by adding a hashtag. I forget what firestorm or something. I forget what the actual hashtag was. And that just after that, people started hashtagging everything. That became the genesis of hashtags. At least my understanding of it, anyways.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
Yeah. Oh, what have you been up to besides costing me money?
Costing you money. I've been doing that. A project I've been working on for the past month finally got released last night with very minimal hiccups. So
That doesn't
actually
sound right.
I know. That's what I was thinking. It's been like a month to 6 weeks of making this work. And the thing is transferring a call. So I'm talking to you. I want to transfer you to somebody else and coordinating how all of that works.
Mm-hmm.
It was already in the core product of the client of Phone Burner, where when you're making an outbound call, you could transfer the call, but we're building this whole new phone app that's not the original business.
Oh, really?
And getting that transfer piece into there. Yeah, because now you can take inbound phone calls where the history of the company has always been outbound.
Got it.
Now you can get inbound calls. It's managing all of that data, and yeah, it finally got released. But I screwed so many things up along the way. Looking back at decisions I made as I was writing this feature, and I'm just ripping out other code. I'm like, oh, we don't need this stuff anymore. And I rip out this one piece and get near the end, and I have somebody testing it, and they're like, well, now this is broken. I'm like, that's what that was for. I'm like, but I don't like it there anymore. So then I'm like, I want to do it this way now. And then like, it caused so many issues.
You got event sourcing?
It is built on event sourcing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Laravel?
No, not Laravel.
Okay. I know you fiddle with it every now and then, so I wasn't sure, but yeah.
So the other the other Oh, there is event sourcing in there too. The other thing I broke recently, somebody reached out via PHP Architect support saying, "Hey, I purchased a magazine and it's not in my account." I'm like, crap. Let me go look. And sure enough, I added verbs to store all the webhook data from Stripe so that I could, make sure I'm not missing anything, start checking things out. And I screwed up, I think, on a fillable oh no, I was passing the data in as data, but the field name was payload. Because the reason is I just added it so quickly. I'm like, no, I just need this data stored. I just need it stored, do that. And of course, it was broken for a day. So somebody reached out. I was able to say, oh, let me fix that. But at the same time, I was able to make it smarter to say, if I get the same webhook twice, only process it once. You know, the things I should have done from the beginning, but I'm like, I just need this done, hack it out type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's in there now. And then I get another email from somebody else saying, hey, I bought the magazine like 2 weeks ago and it's not in my account. So I go looking back there and I'm like, what in the hell happened? Why is it not there? And go back in our webhook log on Stripe and I see that this one failed. So I try reprocessing it. And of course it failed again. And I was going to try and share it this way. It's going to be a terrible way to share it. We can try.
What's happening? I always get nervous when John takes over the steering wheel, man.
Nah, this is an example of what was going on. I was taking the name from Stripe and exploding it on the space to get first and last name. Seems to make sense to me. Until there's no space in there and it errors out in Laravel. I'm still trying to figure out why, because it should only be a warning.
Right.
But
I would just imagine it would just, keep it null. Like there's no.
Well, I bet it's strict types. I have declared strict types in there. I bet that's causing the fatal error. I didn't even look at that. So, yeah, that happened. So, luckily, easy way around it. Assign it to an array and then use null coalescing. But now it's 2 lines instead of 1 easy line. So, if you're watching, sorry, listeners, that makes it hard. I'm basically exploding on space and doing array. What is it? Array D. What is this called? Can't think of it. Anyway.
Oh, the yeah.
Dereference? Yeah. Is it dereferencing?
Maybe.
Whatever.
Interesting you bring this up because we're going to be going to something here. But
yeah.
Let me look while you're talking, see if I can find it.
Yep.
Go ahead, anyways.
So array dereferencing. I'm trying to get the last name in there. So if you know how to solve this in a single line, like I was trying to do null coalescing within the brackets, which was stupid, I know, but I was trying something.
Right.
I ended up just assigning the explode to just an array, just a data, and then saying first name is data sub 0, null coalesce with an empty string. Just to make sense. As a quick, let's make this work type of thing.
Yeah. Interesting that you bring that up, because I actually have something on my Trello board where I was like, you know what, this is actually a pretty good article.
You know where I thought you were going with that?
I do not.
I thought you were going with Honey Badger.
Oh. That would have been a good Honey Badger segue, wouldn't it?
It would have been, and it would have been great for us. No. That is the one project that we don't have going into our Slack. So yes. I wasn't being told of the error. So that's on me.
Let's take an opportunity to thank Honey Badger here, because I've got something else pretty funny to touch on after this. So we're gonna circle back around the null coalescent operator and all that stuff, and not knowing what that format with those arrays is called, but we're gonna get there. But for now, let's hear from Honey Badger. And now it's story time with Archie, brought to you by our sponsor, honeybadger.io. One time, a customer of Honeybadger's had their background job run overnight and caused hundreds of thousands of errors to be reported to Honeybadger by mistake. Like many other error tracking and performance monitoring tools, Honeybadger bills for monthly usage, and so the customer's mistake was going to cost them a lot of money that month. If you've ever used a monitoring service, you might have experienced something like this. Well, fortunately for this customer, they emailed Honeybadger support and received the most amazing reply. Honeybadger was resetting their monthly quota and canceling the bill. This is just one example of how much the small team at Honeybadger cares about their users. Ask anyone you know and you'll hear similar stories. Go check them out at honeybadger.io. It's free to get started and setup takes less than 5 minutes. Don't forget to bookmark it. That's www.honeybadger.io. You see, John,
That was
Honey Badger.
That was awesome. You did so good there.
Reads in time, I can do cool things like that. So I apologize to our audio listeners, especially because you didn't get the pleasure of the video and get the distraction of the video in that one. I am historically a horrible read. If I don't ad lib it, I'm horrible, but I try, right? So Honey Badger reached out to us. We had a great back and forth with them. Real happy. And gave us some new copies. And I asked John, I'm like, John, I didn't even ask John. John was like, I'll get this recorded for you today and we'll have it for the show. Yeah. Midnight is when I get John's call. So you know what you get when you send me your reads at midnight? This is what you get, John.
Let me tell you a quick story about our sponsor, honeybadger.io. One time, a customer of theirs had a background job run overnight that caused hundreds of thousands of errors to be reported to Honeybadger by mistake. Like many other error tracking and performance monitoring tools, Honeybadger bills for monthly usage, and so this customer's mistake was going to cost them a lot of extra money that month. If you've ever used a monitoring service, you might have experienced something like this. Well, fortunately for this customer, they emailed
I think you get the gist of it. I don't have a lot of time to now. Could I put your voice over my video? Probably, but where's the fun in that?
yours was so good.
I'd really rather make a video of kids frustrated and tired by your read. Unfortunately, they got frustrated and tired right when I forget what they say in Honey Badger. But it seemed like they're reacting to like the bad thing in Honey Badger. I'm like, no, they're just tired of John's read. That's what I'm trying to get across here.
It was late. I'm sorry.
We'll try to get some spots next week. Yeah. So thanks, Honey Badger. All right. So back to no call list operators and what is that array format called, which I still haven't found. I came across this article.
Dereferencing.
Is it dereferencing? We know for sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, you look that up. PHP's hidden treasures, 10 powerful features you didn't know you needed. And I looked through this. And I have questions. What is it?
Destructuring.
Restructuring. That makes more sense. I honestly that didn't even ring true to me either. I'm curious if you've used any of these. Some of these I didn't even know about. Like, to be completely like, if you're listening to the podcast and you have been developing PHP for like the last couple years, you probably don't have an appreciation for how much PHP has changed over probably the last 10 years. I mean, it's just been absolutely insane. Can't even keep up with all the cool stuff the language of PHP has. And I'm looking through this. I'm like, Jesus, man, I could use that. Like, all right, generators, memory-friendly iterations. Have you ever used anything like this?
Yep. I use them all the time in my tests, and use them a little bit in code. We had a talk at PHP at Wave PHP back in 2018 that it was iterators, generators, and decorators. Oh my, I think.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, yeah.
And the example there was just blew me away. I'm like, I need to do that. And that has to do with making API calls where
Yeah.
you're making a call to an external API, especially with pagination. So you call out, you get a page of 50, 100 results, whatever, and then you yield each of those, and then at the end of that, you make the next call if there's more to do, and then you keep turning back one result at a time.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. I looked at this, I'm like, man, and I kind of remember it. Maybe it was actually from that talk, but I've never used it. I'm like, God, I've got to remember this is here because this is such a just very eloquent way of handling this. You need to do this.
It is that one's I don't like that example just because iterating over an array of a million items as
Mhm.
numbers isn't that
Is-
memory intensive.
right. But yeah,
It,
it's just an example. Yeah.
right. But it's one of those examples that you're like, I'm never going to use this because that's stupid. If
And
the example doesn't like really solve an issue, then you don't really
yeah.
appreciate how it could be used.
And then you get hit with a large data set and you're like, God, how am I going to iterate over this? And you can't make that connection, right?
Right.
It's like, because I know I've had that. Like, I've had like big data sets. I'm like, God, now I got to iterate over all this. This sucks. And yeah, this is a great. So that's really where it shines. For your audio listeners, this is just showing a simple for each on numbers, right? It's just counting numbers. And obviously, that's not that difficult. But imagine it to be like a very healthy data set that you're trying to iterate over, and that's where this really shines.
Hmm.
Traits. Now, I honestly had a run where I just was a trait maniac. Like I was using traits everywhere, and then I don't know what happened. I stopped. Do you use traits at all?
Use them. I did the same thing where I started to overuse them. So
Yeah.
I think there's a good balance in when you should and when you shouldn't.
Mhm.
And for a time there, I was overusing them
Mhm.
and backed up a little bit.
Yeah, so traits, the unsung hero of multiple instances.
Multiple inheritance.
Inheritance. But
So I've tried.
because we support multiple inheritance, traits fills the gap beautifully. Go ahead.
Yeah. So trying to be cleaner and not have so much multiple inheritance,
Yeah,
but it works.
yeah. So this is one I still forget to reach for anonymous classes. Do you use anonymous classes?
Yes, but not often.
So explain something to me because honestly, this is always where I end up. What is the point of an anonymous class? Like if you're just like in their example, for instance, the formatter equals new class, right? This is the anonymous class. Then formatter becomes the variable formatter becomes it, right? Like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you just do that? I just I can't wrap my head around when it makes sense to just create these throwaway classes that you
I so I use them mostly in tests because you
you're a big,
can't.
big test guy.
Yeah, you can't test. You can't mock final classes.
Mhm.
So having an anonymous class that extends your class. Um, can you extend final? I can't remember.
Mm-mm, you can't.
Right.
That's the whole point of a final class.
Right. What was my use case? I use it to create a mock that I need special functionality of
Mm,
that
yeah.
can implement an interface, but I don't need to create a whole concrete class, and I just want to do a few things, but not necessarily as a mock.
No call lesson operators is what we were talking about a second ago. If you
I
don't know
use
what
that
these are,
all the
okay.
time.
Yeah, that's me. Like I can't not use these anymore. If you don't know what these are, you're do yourself a favor. If you don't look up anything else we're talking about, look up no call lesson operators. I have not talked to anybody who has been. Yeah, I don't know when I would use that. You use it all the time. Trust me.
Especially if you try to be clean in your code with using is set. So if you had a lot of If it's set, if this variable is set and this variable has something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's blank, then give me something else, a default value. That's really where it shines.
Yeah.
Except I don't like I don't like their
Good.
example of using the get super global. We don't want to use
Oh,
those
geez, I
anymore.
didn't even catch that. We
So-
don't use super globals anymore.
So I gave a talk back in like 2015, 2016, and I believe it was a talk on security, but I wasn't even paying attention. And then somebody that knows security better than I do came up to me afterwards and was like, great presentation, except you shouldn't be using the request and get super globals. I'm like, you're right. Damn it. Force of habit.
Good catch. And now you look for it everywhere. In every example, you look for it.
Yep.
This is another one where when it got released, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to use this all the time. And I've never used it. The Splat operator, dynamic arguments list. Have you
Really?
ever used this?
Yeah, use it often.
I don't. And I don't know why. I don't know why I can't remember to use this.
It's a good way to take a variable number of arguments into your function as an array.
And more importantly, a unset amount of arguments, right? Like you're not required to pass 3 or you're not required to pass 8. You just pass whatever you need to pass.
Right. That was the variable part. I use it in event sourcing. So when I'm passing events into my aggregate root to be processed.
Oh, that's a great
idea. I can pass 1 to 20 different events, and all the aggregate root cares about is it's getting an array of stuff, and then in there making sure it's an array of events.
Yeah, well, immutable date time operators. I think everybody. Actually, I'm assuming. I mean, there's nothing super special about this. If you're not using it, it's I think it's the preferred way of doing it now. Is it?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah, if you're not using date time immutable, date immutable, those functions, you're gonna run into issues with spooky action at a distance where you do something not realizing you're affecting something else. You pass that variable into a function, do something in there, not realizing you're changing it, and then it's changed outside your function, and it's like, what happened?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Iterators. So this one I don't get so much. Iterators custom collection behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool, but I don't know. Like, is this something you've done?
A little bit. So we will use custom collections a lot. And one, it allows you to make sure you always have the right type if you're using a custom collection that way. They're doing it this way, saying, hey, this is an iterator and we're always going to get even numbers. So it's not a basic array. It's a custom array. It's a custom iterator of going through your, in this case, even numbers.
Got it.
And you're just manipulating when you say, hey, give me the next one, instead of popping the next one off of your array. This is saying, hey, just add 2 to the current number.
Yeah.
Just a way of doing it, making it custom.
Okay. That's cool. I'll give you that. Arrow functions. Yeah, I don't use this. I see it used all the time.
I've become
JavaScript to me.
Yeah, I've become way more comfortable with them.
Have you?
Yeah, because a lot of the anonymous functions that we pass into, especially within tests, going back to that, but when you're passing a function into somewhere, it's usually doing one little thing. So being able to return a shorthand version of it is nice.
I should consciously make an effort to remember to do that. I feel like I could. I don't know.
I use it a lot with things like that. They're using it in array map. So in your array functions, it's a great place to do it.
Named arguments, I was a big supporter of, but then people kind of talked me off that ledge a little bit. now the question I have about this particular example. So if you're not sure what named arguments are, is it allows you to define the variables, the name of the variable in a function. So when you use that function, you don't have to pass the variables in order. You just have to pass them by name if you want. So that's I think it's a great I think it's a great idea. John has had a valid talking point of, hey, IDEs basically did this for you. But yeah, whatever. Maybe he has a point. He rarely does, but we'll give him this one. My question about this example is that they don't put the names in the function. Is the name inferred by the variable name?
Yep. Yeah,
I never knew that.
You can't put them in the function itself.
No, I thought you could. I thought that's. Are you sure?
Yeah, it's just like this. The name comes from the variable name. When you are passing into that function, you can say, "Hey, what I'm about to pass in goes into the name variable." So you can mix. We're in their create user, that last line. You can mix those up and say, "I'm going to pass the role first, then the email, then the name."
I don't know if I believe you, John.
You have to, because I'm right.
Are you right? I do hate it when you're right. I am. Yeah, I'll keep you with me here real fast. I'm pulling up the documents. This isn't even that. What did I go to? Function parameters. That's not right. My new search failed me. Name parameters. Here we go. Name parameters. That's just type hinted. Yeah, I guess you're right. Damn it, John's right. I hate that. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to this is why John's a better developer than I am. Match expressions, again, I think most people are using match over switch now. If you're not, look into it. It really saves you some coding. Do you disagree, John?
No. I use it way more than I thought I would. And not just to replace switch statements. I use it in lots of other locations now too.
Like?
When returning data, and I'm returning, instead of a big if-else situation, it's going to be a match statement to say, hey, when this is true.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, and that's it. Great article. The link will be in the show notes for anybody interested. Just fun fact for anybody watching, in full transparency, we don't talk about what we're going to talk about on the show. We rarely talk about it. We do have a Trello board that we can throw stuff on, and we can look at each other's Trello board and get an idea of what somebody's going to talk about. So, what are you laughing about? What did I miss?
Hey, Woods.
Yeah. So yeah, cool stuff. Thanks. I'm glad you indulged me on that. I'm glad you
that was good.
Led into that.
Yeah. Hey, Woods is pissing me off, just so you know.
Yeah, he does that on regular for me, but he is a speaker at Tech, so we gotta kind of be nice to him a little bit.
I've been trying, hey, I've been emailing and then sending him messages. Get in touch with me. I want to book your flight or your train ride or however you want to get to Tech. Let me know. Let's get it done.
Oh yeah, he's coming from NYC. I guess he could technically take a train. I want to take a train, man. There's a train from San Francisco. Matter of fact, the kids are going on a trip probably to DC. The wife and I were talking about that today. It's like, maybe they don't go to DC. Maybe they just stay in Chicago. So there's a train that goes, I think, from San Francisco to Chicago that they're going to take. And then they're going to hang out in Chicago for a day or whatever, and then take a plane to DC, which is where I'm from. They haven't been there since being a kid. And so, or not even that, they were young adults the last time we went. And so they want to go and, visit the monuments and stuff again. But I want to take a train, man. I like trains, but I don't want to take a train from San Francisco to Chicago. That's too long of a train. And we got too much shit we got to take with us, man. We're not doing that. But yeah,
Not a good idea.
Tech is kind of long. I'm excited. We're very close to having our second keynoter. We're only having 2 keynoters this year, so it's very, very exciting. I am super excited. Hopefully, we can talk about it more later.
We will be talking to them tomorrow, hopefully, and being able to solidify that.
Yep. I'm really excited about it. What have I been coding, John? You ask.
Yes. What have you been coding, Eric?
A little this, a little that. Not as much client work as I should be coding. Probably. Spending a lot of time on client projects, which I'm actually a little tired of. I mean, come on, I got things to not do. But real happy we had, again, the new mobile developer. We had a really good meeting with the client today as far as talking through some stuff. We haven't been getting anything but positive feedback, which is really good. We have so back to I'm working on a new PHP Architect website. I had said this about a half a dozen times over the last couple of years, and this one I feel like I'm getting really close to. Like, I'm pretty much done with like a template layout where I can start breaking things down and saying, okay, this is the header, this is the footer. Now, what am I going to throw in the body here, and how do I want it to look? So I'm really excited about that. I might even share the package we use. I'm not there yet because it is a paid product, and I'm not sure how much I like it. But already, right off the bat, it was enough of a jump start that allowed me just to kind of feel like I have more momentum. Honestly, and maybe we submit a PR for this. I think this package is a perfect example of something that would benefit with the inclusion of verbs. Like, I think you add verbs to this and just start building on it. Good God, man. Yeah, so people would just have event sourcing out of the box with very little effort. I think that would be fantastic.
Before we move on, I want to bring up a chat here. Celestino in Discord just asked, I just started studying PHP a while ago and been working on some projects. What are the requirements to start contributing to open source projects? Great question.
Pay attention.
Yeah. The first requirement before you can contribute to any open source project is you have to attend PHP Tech. I don't know why.
Not true. Not true at all.
I do recommend.
It's highly recommended, though.
Yeah. Honestly, the requirement is find an open source project that you want to contribute to and contribute. There is no requirement.
I mean,
understanding
pay
Git.
attention. Yeah, pay attention to the project. See if they have a process to contribute. A lot of open source projects will have a process. Don't think you need to contribute code either. I know PHP itself, PHP internals are always looking for document people, translators. There's a lot of stuff you can do that isn't code.
Example code. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding Git, if you go to their GitHub repo, there's usually a contributing.md file that will tell you how to contribute to their repo. Mm-hmm. Look at any open tickets that people saying, hey, this isn't working, and see if you can work on that part. But yeah, it's not hard to get involved in open source.
A good thing is just start coding yourself and paying attention to the packages you use. If a package you're using isn't doing something you think it should be doing, before going off and doing your own thing, look at expanding on that package. Exactly what we just talked about, right? Again, pay product, not exactly open source, but like we can contribute to it because of the structure of the agreement. but it's just that thing. It's like, oh, it'd be nice if this package or this solution did this one additional thing that I need, maybe other people need, and do it and contribute and see what they see. See what they say.
Awesome question. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. We have more changes coming to PHP Architect. I guess I owe a little bit of an apology. I announced last week we were in the hunt for a sysops person.
We actually did it a couple of weeks ago. And then, you did, because we'd gotten the one response from overseas, and then, but it was kind of in passing. It was at the very end. It might have actually been.
Oh, you're right. I did mention it.
Yeah. Right near the end of the show. And then last week we talked about it more. And that's when you were talking about needing to be US based and working West Coast times.
Yeah, we got more kind of, we discussed more about the requirements for the particular client and, what would work and what wouldn't work. So, yeah. But anyways, we're no longer looking for somebody. As a matter of fact, Supernova is in our Discord. Supernova, if you're in the PHP community, is Joe Ferguson. Joe Ferguson is going to be joining the team here in a few weeks as our, basically our sysops department.
So we've been talking with Joe for years. There's been probably at least 2 different times where we almost had him on board with us, but a lot of that comes down to financially being able to, timing, financially affording, especially getting a client on board that like we can afford to then pay somebody. So that's where we're at now.
Yep.
So happy to have you on board, Joe.
I'm just happy to be able to boss you around. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun.
I was secretly hoping your current gig would say, just get out.
I totally was hoping for that. Like, I hate to do that because, it's like, it's a jarring experience for an individual. But I was low key like, I don't know, maybe he'll start Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe he'll start Wednesday. I don't know. Yeah, that was great. What else do we have? I got some kind of chill news. I mean, nothing really to, deep dive. Like I had that one article. Do you have anything
that was
like
great.
to share?
I think we both have the similar one on our
let's board. Knock that out. That was a fun little thing.
I'm sitting at my desk yesterday, and Eric sends me over a Twitter link or an X link, excuse me.
Oh yeah, let me pull that up. I actually have that.
You do. Yeah, it's fine. So I'm like, this is weird because he doesn't normally do that, and I go and click on it, and it's an interview, and with Aaron Francis, who I know, and then Tessa Creel. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your last name.
Yeah.
Anyway, doing an interview together.
Who we have discovered is a PHP Tech alum, which was kind of cool.
Spoke at PHP Tech in Atlanta back in 2018, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it was 16, 18, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would have been, I think, 15, I think, was St. Louis. Anyway. Yeah. So, anyway, it was a great interview. And like halfway through, they started talking about PHP Tech extensively. And I was like, wow, this is great.
Well, Tessa specifically. So Aaron wasn't even sure what it was. I mean, he knew. He was like, yeah, that's that. Yeah, I have seen that. But Tessa was very excited and had a positive experience. Thank you for all the kind words as well, Tessa. That was, you do this long enough, you kind of forget that, like, you do actually impact people, which was really cool. But more importantly, thanks for the mention.
Yes. And it was more than a mention. They actually sat and talked about it.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Quite a few minutes. And I loved her take on PHP Tech, where it's such an open community, and it's really what it is all about, is community, bringing developers together, everyone with a common goal of learning from each other and just talking to like-minded individuals, which is huge, especially if you work on a very small team and you don't like the people you work with, like me.
Your people at Phone Burner listen to this. I'm sure they.
Anyway, it was really nice to hear.
Don't worry, Lido. I'm sure he wasn't talking about you specifically. Yeah, it was very fun, and we've talked about it on our shows in the past. Aaron kind of did it, but again, Aaron sort of acknowledged that he knew what tech was, and I guess tech is actually different as well as PHP Architect, but like it hurts my soul when we're at a PHP conference and somebody walks up to our table and say, PHP Architect, what do you do? And I'm just like, get the fuck away from my table. Just leave. What are you, a JavaScript developer? Get out of here. And John's like, that's not how we market. I'm like, I feel good about it though. Yeah.
I talk to so many people because of the term architect, they think buildings. And I'm like, no, we build good code. We're
Which
architects.
is funny because the company John and I founded years ago was Diego Dev. And we got the same thing. Like people thought we were developers of buildings and structures and not developers of code. It's like, oh, cool. Okay, we'll be PHP Architect. Everybody knows what that is. Nope. Everybody still thinks we build buildings. We should build buildings, John, and just be done with it.
I was playing Rocket League with somebody last night and they saw PHP Architect and they're asking me, wouldn't TypeScript or YAML be more appropriate? I'm like, YAML's not a coding language.
Yeah.
TypeScript's more for the front end. I do back end work. And then they brought up some other architect specific like software for buildings or whatever. And I'm like, no, not that type of architect. We architect good code. We write good code.
So yeah, check out the links again. Will be in the show notes. John found the video, the YouTube video, which is great. You can. I watched the whole thing on X because I couldn't at the time find the video.
And I'm sharing Tessa's link. She runs Built for Devs, and give her a little shout out there. Check it out.
Definitely give her a shout out and let her know that you heard about her on the show today. Make her watch our show. Since I had to watch her entire goddamn show to find out where she talked about us, make her watch our show. Damn it.
Built for Devs is, I think she said 55,000 developers strong community right now. So go ahead and join their mailing list and see what they're all about.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's talk about Bamboo for a second.
Yes.
You want to talk about Bamboo? Because
sure.
This was a topic of ours.
Are you poaching my Trello board, mister? You're not supposed to do that.
Oh, you're right. That wasn't to be a question. And,
no, it's all right. Yeah, Eric, I've been watching a lot of 3D printing videos lately, and we got to talking, and the 3D printer that I used to have was just way too big, and then Eric took it and has it now. And I was like, I mentioned to him, I was thinking about getting back into 3D printing, and he brought up the Bamboo Lab, and I started watching about it, and all of a sudden here I am hooked on, all right, I need a Bamboo Lab because that's what everyone is pushing. All the 3D printer or people, creators are talking about how great these products are, especially for beginners or people that just want to print. So I purchased one. It was on pre-order because I guess they're out of stock. And in the meantime, from the time I purchased it to before I got it, because I still don't have it, they decide, oh, we're going to become the Apple of printers and lock down the firmware and put out there that it's under the guise of security. And man, and then I went down this rabbit hole of all the creators and legal people that are talking about how bad this is. I'm like, damn it, what did I get myself into?
Bad. So it's funny when you first shared the video. Well, first off, the video itself, this guy, is this that right to repair guy who's always into it with Apple? That's funny. I've never seen him not in his shop. So like when I watch this, I'm like, God, I feel like I know this guy. That's funny. Okay, cool. That is.
I think he started doing it from his home post pandemic, and then.
Oh, okay. That would make sense. So, yeah, when they talked about it, I mean, the main crutch of the whole thing is that even if you're only 3D printing on your local land, the Bamboo needs to authenticate to work, and so it still has to phone home basically,
Right.
and you have to be using their software and blah blah blah. And initially, when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, how big of a problem? I mean, I could definitely see it as a huge problem for people really deep into 3D printing, right? And people who have like arrays of 3D printers, and I'm like, okay, I get, but like, how big of a problem would this be for me or John? Because we're just like casual printers, and then I'm like, yeah, well, that means I wouldn't be able to use Octopi because you have to use their software. And then I started seeing all these videos of all this software that's coming out for 3D printing that has AI associated with it, so that the AI can detect when the print has gone bad and pause the print for you, which is huge because,
What-
like, for me, my 3D printer is in the garage, so I set it off. I have Octopi with a camera that I will check every now and then, and see if I can see anything obviously going wrong. But to have like AI watching it and say, okay, something's not looking right here, I'm going to pause, and then to not be able to do that, like, you would think, oh yeah, well, Bamboo would definitely offer this, but maybe they wouldn't, or they would offer it at additional cost, or like, you just have you can't really think about like where they're going to draw the line.
Right. So, well, one, they do have that specific thing built into theirs, but that's beside the point. Like you said, they may charge for it in the future.
Mhm.
Um, they have backtracked a little bit because
Oh,
there were a lot of it was, if you don't upgrade to the next firmware, they could block your printing. If you like, there were all these conditions on where they could just not allow the printer to work,
mm,
and they had such a backlash. And I think it was The Verge had like an email back and forth with them and said a lot of things like, will you publicly commit to X, Y, or Z, like this and that? And for the most part, they're like, yeah, you will always have access to work on your printer from the LAN. Like, that's not going to be blocked. I I honestly believe in their heart of hearts, it started with security. Like, that's where
okay. Let's
there
talk
was
about
a
that for a second, though. What security? Like, are you worried about like a Chinese hacker taking over your 3D printer and printing shit? Like, what
well,
security are you talking about?
so what happened was, on other printers, there was a security flaw found where a white hat hacker found a loophole, contacted the company, and they said, we don't care. Basically, I don't know that they said that, but they didn't patch
Right.
the issue.
They didn't
So then,
take initiative.
so then this hacker connected to hundreds or thousands, I don't know how many printers around the world, and all they did was put up a little sign on their display saying, just so you know, this is happening, and we contacted the manufacturer. They don't care. You might want to turn off, Wi-Fi access or whatever.
Mhm.
So there, people don't take the time to secure their devices. They leave the default passwords on. How often have you gone somewhere and go to your parents' house and you need to work on their router, and they're like, well, what's the password? I don't know. So you look up, oh, the default password is admin or whatever, and
Mhm.
like, oh, it works. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's some of that. And I'm sure
But,
there's
but
also
see,
a business behind it too. I'm
yeah,
not
I'm sure
defending them. I
there
think it's
is.
crap. I don't like it at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. And I'm sure there is, but like, again, even in that scenario, like, I think about my snap maker. I mean, my snap maker is quote unquote online, but it's not a server. You can't get to it directly from the internet. Like, I'm just not sure. Like, I get it. I understand. You throw the word security, and everybody's supposed to like be okay. Well, this is justified, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
I'm not
sharing that
sure how big a
Verge,
problem it was.
post
Yeah,
in Discord.
appreciate that.
But like, will Bamboo publicly commit to never requiring a subscription? in order to control its printers and print from them. And they're like, for the current product line, yes.
Oh, they threw that little caveat in there.
Well,
huh?
they brought up an example, like if they had a 3D printing vending machine, because I could see that being the future. You go somewhere and you're like, hey, I want this little trinket for 50 cents or $1, and then it prints it off for you right then and there. And they're like, well, for that, yeah, those need a subscription.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. I have to read up on that. I'm so excited that you're getting the bamboo though. I'm happier that I didn't order one. But I'm excited you're getting it. So let's see how it works out.
I've already got a list of things I want to print, including something to fix a little thing in my car that's driving me nuts.
Oh, that's funny. I know. I need to. TJ Miller is big in CAD drawings, doing CAD, and I want to get more into that because I feel like the things I want are not like I can't go find somebody that already done it, sort of thing. You know, a lot of sex toys, John. I mean, it's just weird.
TJ, we're gonna sit down at Tech and talk CAD software.
Oh, we got TJ. We got Joe. Joe Ferguson is a big 3D printer guy.
TJ Miller, not TJ Miller. TJ
Yeah.
Lytle, Tim Lytle. Jeez, I'm
There you
confusing
go.
everybody.
You got
Tim
Tourette's.
Lytle's big into it.
Oh, that's right. He is. Yeah. I'm not as big into it as I'd like to be. Like I told John, matter of fact, John just gave me a secret, I think this week, that I need to try, but I got frustrated because all my prints started going haywire. And I'm like, I just don't have time for this right now. I need to move on. So
Well, now I'm watching videos. I'm like, I don't know that glue stick is the answer. It's build plate. You need a gold PEI build plate.
you had me a gold, John.
A gold textured PEI plate, I think.
A gold texture PEI plate.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. That sounds expensive, but well, you're paying for half of it, so it'll be fine. Okay. So we talked about a couple things that we did not, we might have used or haven't used. There's something my buddy JMac. Actually, all right. Let me start with this one here before I go any further. JMac, who, if you're not familiar with who JMac is, he's big in the Laravel community. He's the guy behind Shift. All right, that's his big thing. But he has another little project that he runs called Blueprint. John's messaging me. We're just running long. I don't care, John. We're not running long. Do you have a game? Do you have a bowling match to go to? Is it a match? Is it a game? What is it? A lane? What do you do?
Just keep going.
No,
I just don't want to bore I just don't want to bore the audience by talking for 2
They're
hours.
not bored. At least not 3 of them. The others might be. But JMac has another project called Blueprint, which is like something I keep seeing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this, and I don't actually try it. But anyways, he's released version 4 of Blueprint. So if you are a user of Blueprint, and this is Blueprint. If you're a user of Blueprint, it's a fascinating project where, based on the Laravel framework, because this is for Laravel, you create these YAML files of structure, and it creates models, it creates tests, it creates factories, it'll create seeders for you, it'll create controllers, and all you do is create these YAML files. And the idea behind it, like if you're just doing like a one-off project you're working on, it doesn't work. But if you have like components, or if you have like a template project you always start with, or these like, again, these components that you always build, you can create these YAML files and just feed that into the application, and then it'll create all the code. Not all the code. It'll get you a lot further along with the code. So it's not doing anything too magical, but it is doing a lot of legwork for you. It's very, very cool. So check it out if you're into Laravel or you're into Blueprint. And another release today, I think it was today, was...
Hang on.
Okay. What?
Joe Ferguson says Blueprint is awesome. You need to come back and write for the magazine. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know how awesome it is. I have not seen an article of it in PHP Architect, so I'm just saying you can write a feature article. We're not going to pay you now because you're an employee, but you can still write the feature article. I know.
Just do it on business time.
I watched the video blueprint. I'm like, why am I not using this? Because there are like certain things I always do, and it's like I find myself doing it in like multiple projects. Like, I mean, we were just talking about moving some of the stuff off of one server, one application that we have it on, and creating another, adding it to another server we have, right? Without giving away too much, but and I'm like, God damn it! I wish I made this more. Well, I was just copying code over for one thing, and I'm like, this is stupid. Blueprint would probably address that. Okay, Tailwind.
I want to.
God damn it! Don't talk about how long we're running if you're going to keep interrupting me.
I just want a correction. You said Blueprint was going version 4.0. I think you were looking ahead to this topic.
What was Blueprint? Blueprint was 2.11. You're right. 2.11. Sorry about that, JMac. You're a good guy, and let's be real, you don't watch the show anyway, so you'll never know. Okay, the other project I am a fan of is Tailwind. If for those of you that know me, I am not a front-end developer, but I can knock out some Tailwind every now and then when I need to. Well, they just released version 4. It looks like they have a new look to their website. It looks so smooth and sweet. The problem with major versions in Tailwind is there's typically a migration, which sucks. I haven't looked at what it takes to migrate yet. But so Tailwind's out there. Version 4 of Tailwind. If you're a Tailwind person. All right. And
we didn't talk any tech. I'm surprised.
We've talked a lot of tech. As a matter of fact, I was going to put the caveat on. I'm like, I promise you guys, we're not going to talk a lot of tech today. But FYI, if you are planning to go to tech, people are getting smart and they're taking advantage of the early bird. So we're calling it blind early bird because it's been in place since before we selected speakers, but there's not going to be anything between that and full price. So February 1st is what we decided, John?
Yep.
February 1st. That's it. We go full price until through the conference.
And you can see full price on the website now. So you can choose. If you want to pay full price now, you can. They're there.
Feel free. I mean, actually, we would strongly encourage you to pay full price, especially if you got a company paying your way. I mean, let's be real here. Let's see. Let's take a quick look at that since you brought it up, John. This is your fault. Oh, I shared that in the wrong one. I wasn't supposed to share that there. Wait, stop. Unshare. Stop share. You need to be on this frame to share. So we'll go here, get rid of the chat people, and come here. Okay. So all the prices for everything, including the full 3-day, 2-day, 1-day, blind. We should just call it early bird at this point. But so it's going to be. You can get it for $500 now for the full 3-day pass, or you can get it for $700, whatever makes you feel good. We do have bulk pricing, and if you have a big team, like 10 people or 8 people, reach out to John and I will work some pricing for you guys. And there's a 3 to 1-day pass for early bird as well. So good pricing there. Virtual tickets, you can see the price for that as well.
I need to make those the same. That's driving me nuts now.
What's that?
The full conference having the number 3 days in parentheses, and up top it's full 3-day conference. They should.
Oh, yeah. I think I like this format better.
Yeah,
this looks weird. Yeah.
I'll clean that
so come hang out with us in Chicago in May. It's a blast, and hopefully we will be able to announce another keynote speaker here shortly. I'm hoping.
Hopefully we can announce some sponsors. I would like to get some of those on board. We got so many in the works.
I would say we've got so many in the works right now. I'm actually feeling a little excited about it.
I just want to get deals closed and Checks cashed.
I've got to mention this real fast. Where are we at on time? Oh, we're good. We're 8 minutes over. For Pete's sakes, Nancy, relax. We're doing fine. All right. From our old podcast, PHP Ugly, we had a long-standing no talk of politics, which over the years became more and more difficult to do. John and I kind of think the same way on that, and obviously never wanted to mix politics in with our business anyway. So I'm not, I don't hold it against the fact that John's a Trump supporter. No, that's such a joke. I wouldn't say that about you, John. But our industry and politics is getting harder and harder to separate. And I found out today, Trump signed an executive order for cryptocurrency. And the fact, just what I read about this, the little bit I've read, and this literally happened just before the show. And the little bit I read about this, like right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, they don't understand crypto. Mind you, Donald Trump, if you're not in the U.S., became president, took office this week. And right before he took office, he released a meme coin. And then a couple days later, he released one under his wife's name, which is like so absolutely such a bad look for somebody who's taking the office. But whatever. I'm not going to get into that. And that's not this. Well, it might be related because obviously he's been talking to a lot of crypto people. So he signed this as executive order for crypto. And this Twitter thread talks about a little bit. I was a little shied away from it a little bit because his first post is talking about, I'm giving away 3,500 USD T to followers. I hate that. But then I also found a article on it, and again, all this will be in the show notes. But I can't remember if it's here or in the article. It was like, yeah, one of the reasons behind the executive order is so that the U.S. could regulate cryptocurrency. I'm like, you don't understand cryptocurrency. They're like, you don't understand how it works. Like, what do you mean by regulate? Because that's what created cryptocurrency is, countries, poorly regulating their money. It just screams to me like, this is just such a horrible, it's a horrible idea. B, it shows how poorly educated our politicians are on certain topics. It's just absolutely insane. So I only mentioned it here, again, not taking sides, not taking a political side or anything. I mentioned it here because, we've done crypto. And the interesting thing about this, let me take this off screen actually. The interesting thing about this is like, what is this going to do to crypto? Like, if you have Bitcoin that you've been sitting on for a while, like, are people just going to go crazy and start buying Bitcoin again? Or is the price of Bitcoin going to go through the roof again for a while? Maybe you become a little sniper and then start selling off your Bitcoin. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the cost of Bitcoin for the upcoming weeks and see if this has any impact. But because I still have some Bitcoin out there.
Lucky.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, it doesn't. It's just money I don't have in my bank account. It just kind of sits in the same spot. But
oh my gosh, it crossed 100K.
You're full of it.
No.
Are you serious? Did it really cross 100K?
Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta check my wallet. Let me see where my wallet. And again, it just got announced, so there's going to be like some people buying like crazy. Well, that is impressive. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, it's up $32 right now. Interesting. We will be keeping an eye on this. But yeah, again,
I guess it crossed 100 back in December 14th, December
Yeah,
12th.
I'm looking at the graph. It's definitely been higher. Don't get too excited if you're not into crypto. Don't think this is the opportunity to get into it. This is actually exactly when you don't want to get into it, when the market is like just going nuts, because there's a lot of uneducated people, and you can lose a lot of money very quickly. So don't get into it. But if you're into crypto, curious about your take on this and where you think this is going to go. And we are not financial advisors by any means. If you want to spend your money in crypto today, feel free. We're not financial advisors, but yeah, I would not get into it today if I weren't already into it. Oh, well, you're right. 103,000, almost 104,000. Interesting. So, yep, that's interesting. Wow, look at it just going up right now. That's crazy. I might actually get rid of my Bitcoin. Like if the market goes too crazy, I might actually sell my Bitcoin and walk away with a pretty penny in my pocket. Okay, that's it for today. John, you look busy. Are you done?
I am writing to one of our speakers who finally just confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
So they are now on the website. Their talk is now on the website. Daniel Colburn from the Verbs package will be speaking at Tech.
No, you didn't tell me this. Did we talk about this?
Yes.
What? Is he just doing a Verbs talk?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. He's a great guy too.
Yeah.
Where's it at? When is it? I don't see it. Here, let me share. I'm going to share my screen so everybody can see the schedule. The schedule is up for anybody interested. So it's not on Tuesday. No, event sauce, and different event sourcing talk. We're gonna have those two rumble.
It's right there. It's 1:00.
Yep.
So I was toying with the idea because there's actually 3 different event sourcing talks. That event sauce one was not going to be on the event sauce library. I started talking to Chris, and he brought up Tim's talk and saying there might be a lot of overlap. I'm like, oh no, Tim's is more generic. It's like a very generic, no library idea of event sourcing. Yours is going to be using the event sauce library. And he goes, oh, there's a library called event sauce.
Really? Oh, that's awkward. Damn it. What was it?
And he goes, I said, I thought yours was event sauce. He goes, that's just the name I gave it. Are you going to tell me there's a package I don't know about called event sauce?
So what are we doing? Is he still giving his talk then?
He didn't have the talk prepared, so he's going to prepare it around the event sauce library now.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
So I told him, I was like,
event sauce for those of you out there was our go-to package for event sourcing. The one event sourcing thing I did. I think John has done a couple. Verbs, I think, is our new, at least in the Laravel ecosystem, which you need to show me because I'm getting close to needing, ready to add that architecture to the new site. So
sure,
I need to get a little verbs because I never got verbs working correctly, but it was a lack of understanding of the naming conventions they were using.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting. I am so excited. Where is he? He's not in Chicago, right? Is he?
No. Philly, I think.
All right, cool. This guy's great. He's just one of those like super positive people to be around. Like he gives off like an aura of positivity and happiness. Like he's just a really good guy. I didn't hang out with him. We talked a little bit at Laracon this year, so it was fun. He's always been very He's always been willing to help. I mean, even
Yeah.
before he met me, he's reached out to me and has been willing to help. So he's a nice guy, good guy.
And if you're still listening, I would love your opinion on, do we take the 3 event sourcing talks, kind of a generic intro to event sourcing, event source library, and verbs? Should we put those in one room back to back on the same day?
Interesting.
Or separate them out and be like, maybe on Tuesday is the intro and the second day is event sauce and the third day is verbs, or vice versa. I'm really torn on it. Like,
approaches, yeah.
If you do it back to back, is it like overload, or is it, I've had enough, like, I just learned this from this person, and then you're in the next one and something clicks and you have now a question, or things start to make more sense.
Or more importantly, it's like, listen, I really want to do this events sourcing stuff, but I want to catch other talks too, and
Right.
as opposed to stay in one room for 3 hours. So looks like he's in North Carolina, by the way, John.
He's flying out of PHL.
Okay, so he's a liar.
No, I don't mean to dox you, but
yeah, damn, John, you let everybody know what state he was in,
or where he's going to be at that time. And
I'm very excited. I like this dude. Him and Chris. The other guy's name is Chris, right?
Yeah.
God, I feel bad if it's not.
Chris Miller.
Yeah, they're both very, very positive, very nice people. So good people. Good people.
Our other talkers, though, the speakers,
yeah, terrible
talkers. I can't. We've been on recording way too long. I can't talk straight anymore.
You're not a very good talker right now.
I am not.
All right. I think that's it. I think that's good. You good?
We're good.
I think you're good. I want to hit this button because I want to see what this does. What's this do? Does nothing. Nothing's changed. What? That changes. This is just this. Oh, that's not that. That's this. Oh, interesting. Okay. What
are you
audio listeners are just like, what just happened? All right, that's going to do it. We're going to wrap up for today. We will hopefully see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. I'm John. Bye.
I'm here.
This has been PHP Podcast.
John, before I do that, before I actually sign out, we need to do like little... No, I'm going to sign out. We'll do it later. No, we don't do an after show. We need to do like a smiley face that I can screen grab so I can add it to the thumbnail, because I'm tired of scrubbing through the goddamn video to find where we're both smiling. So just smile for a second. All right, that's it. Shut up. Bye.
This has been PHP Podcast, the official podcast of PHP Architect, the industry's leading tech magazine and publisher, focused on PHP and web development. Subscribe today at phparch.com to see what the leaders in the community and industry are talking about.